Hello ladies and gentlemen, MarauderEX here, back with more Let's Play Skies of Arcadia. We have just defeated Zelos, and for some reason we get a Captain Stripe, even though we can't use it at this point. Why did we get a Captain Stripe? Anyway, Zelos has been defeated. We've taken out all of the Gigas. You would think that that means our mission is over, the world is safe. That's not the case. We've still got more to do, but the end is in sight. Zelos is gone, along with it all of the crystals, so even the surviving Gigas are now no longer a threat, as they cannot be powered or controlled. Unfortunately, something just landed on our bridge. We're getting sky debris on deck. That's not fun. And it's Ramirez fused with what is left of the Silver Gigas, and it has very human-like features now. You can see that it has almost a face, it has arms. It's trying to take on a very creepy appearance with Ramirez fused to it. He is controlling one of the arms with his. This is the final fight against Silver Gigas Ramirez, or Zelos Ramirez. He doesn't really have a name other than Ramirez. This is probably the hardest fight in the game. He has ridiculous armament of attacks that will do nothing but mess you up. But as we are in the final fight, we get a very epic battle theme, so I hope you enjoyed that. Alright, we need to do some healing because Vice, Fina, and Enrique are a little bit damaged from the last fight. This is pretty much the same fight as before in terms of HP and your preferred stats, but this fight, Ramirez does not have the Lunar Blessing ability, so you don't have to worry about dispelling his regen. But for that, you do have other attacks that you need to worry about. One of them is an expedited attack. It's one of the few expedited attacks that enemies get that will cancel one of your attacks and cause them to attack one of your fellow teammates with one of their special moves. And that means if you brought someone in who has an AoE special attack, like Gilder with Gunslinger, that means it can and probably will hit multiple people depending on your group's positioning. Be very cautious about that. And here it is, Silver Nightmare. He basically uses us as a puppet. So Vice loses his turn this round and turns to Aka turns to Enrique to do Cutlass Fury. Yeah, not a fan of that ability. And he can spam that. So if you get very unlucky, you're going to lose someone's turn each round to him just being terrible. And because it's an expedited ability, his goes first. If we had just a shield up beforehand, that'd be fantastic. But his quick is just, he gets first turn each round. So yeah, be aware of how that's going to happen. I don't believe you lose any spirit for that though, so we have 27 spirit, where I really don't think we should have had 27 spirit. Because that would just make it even worse if Ramirez takes over one of your characters and then you lose spirit equal to what attack they did. That would just make Silver Nightmare ridiculously overpowered. So Enrique loses his turn, so we do not get Justice Shield this turn, and he turns to Aka to do Royal Blade. So, and the downside is you cannot skip through these like you can with if it's one that you are controlling. You have to see the full animation because it's technically his attack, and we can't skip through enemy attacks. So that's fun. Alright, I don't know why I focused. I really should have just, gone in for a couple of big attacks. Alright, so we're going to aim for Pirate's Wrath. We're going to try to play defensively the best we can. I'm pretty sure he also still has access to the Attorney spells, but I figure I've got 2 people who are immune to instant death right now, and one of those has the ability to completely revive and heal. That if he did manage to kill someone, I could bring them back and then he managed to heal everyone else, because everyone's taken a couple of hits at this point. Not fun. Just taking a little bit of damage on this one. A little hurt.
Let's try this.
So we throw out a Glyph of Speed, everyone gets Quicka. And it's kind of entertaining that Quicka it starts off as a full party spell, and Incrum starts off as a single target, and then becomes full party for a much higher spirit cost. But there is no difference there's no upgrade for Quicka. So, a Incrum Pirate's Wrath, he throws out a Turnum. Kinda saw this one coming because I did not use Delta Shield, but thankfully he aims it at Fina, who cannot instantly die. She does take damage to it, so if you don't instantly die, you still take a fair bit of damage, but not anything I'm worried about from her, so we just continue on. Another ability that Ramirez has that you want to be very careful about, which is why I'm sticking to items for this, he has a Dispel ability much like Fina, where it will remove all status effects, or all positive status effects on our party. So if you've been spending a ton of Spirit and a ton of MP to keep all of your stats up here, it's going to piss you off. So, just a forewarning. Because he will use it. I'm pretty sure he uses it on me more than once this fight. But I do manage to get a couple of hits in. I want to say he has about 5,000 more HP than he did the last fight. So, this is his ability that removes status effects. Destruction. At least I believe this is it. He just, shatters ice at us. Does a fair bit of damage. Yep, and it removes all of our abilities. So, just like Fina's Lunar Winds, does a little bit of damage. His does a lot more damage. But, yeah. So, we are going to protect against magic, because I don't know why I'm protecting against magic. I'm just building back up because I really don't have enough spirit to actually go fully on the offensive. So I'm going to go back to my strategy of we're going to play a little cautiously and we're going to build up, and then we're going to smack him while we can. He does have a regular attack. I don't remember seeing it often in this fight. He's typically leans toward his special attacks, but I'm sure there is one. I don't think it causes a status effect when he hits anyone with it, so just things to, keep in mind, I guess. Oh, there, he does try it. It misses Fina, so that's a thing. I go for a regular attack with Vice because I still don't have enough spirit to use Pirate's Wrath and keep my defenses up. So, one more turn of building up and we should be good. And I don't know what he does this attack round. Probably something to piss me off. Counterattack at range. I love that Cupel can actually eat it and spit it out. That's hilarious. Oh, final boss of the game, very intimidating. Ramirez merged with Crystal Monster of Death, and it's being eaten. And thankfully I did protect against magic that round, because he did try a Turnum. Again, he was aiming it at Aka, who is immune to it. But better safe than sorry that round. At least you didn't take any damage from it. That is the upside to Delta Shield for that is you will not take damage from a turn up because the spell just does not take effect at all.
Let's try this.
So, we throw another Glyph of Might on Vice. I believe this is his prime number of status effects on us. Once you have so many on certain characters, or so many up in general, he will aim for removing them. This time he goes for Silver Binds, which I really forgot he had this attack. You would think that it would do some sort of effect given all of his other attacks in this particular battle of taking over one of our actions and then removing our status effects. This, I think, is just a high damage one. If it has any sort of status effect to it, it doesn't seem to proc on Aka. But we do see that his silver creepy creature has some sort of a mouth and a blue gem inside it that shoots a laser beam. Because, you know, that's not creepy. Alright. He's about dead. So I'm just gonna go out and try to rip him apart as fast as possible, throwing out whatever attacks I can. I'm using defensive abilities and then Cutlass Fury. Like, I want him... Like, I'm just going to throw anything else out that I can do that's just a little more damaging than a regular attack, hoping that it's enough to take the last little sliver of health. Not quite. So we got one more round in us. But at this point, I'm well beyond healed. He does, instead of going for an attack, he goes to remove all of my status effects, which I guess is a good idea, because at this point, an Incrumed, any one of Vice's special attacks would take him out. But at this point, a Pirate's Wrath, unincrumed, would take him out. So, I guess it's just for the AoE damage. Going for that. I really don't understand what was going through its AI. It's like, oh, we're just going to use Destruction. Like, oh, well, I'm going to use Cutlass Fury. And I'm going to attack, and I'm going to attack, and then I'm going to use Royal Blade, and say, screw you. Because, yeah. Not quite enough to kill him, but Fina with her giant, creepy final Cupel, 867 for the final hit, and Ramirez has been defeated the second time. We are done dealing with Ramirez. We don't even get XP from that, because that is the final fight. And Ramirez unable to take his own hubris. And we see Gilder and Drachma there. Why didn't they join in the fight? They were here. The only reason why we only had 4 members of the party beforehand was because that's all we had with us. But they're here. Why didn't they jump in the fight? 6 versus 1 would have been fun. Unfortunately, Ramirez being one of the last remaining Sylvites when he died, becomes a silver crystal, but there are no Gigas to use for him. Vice asks if he can honor Ramirez by following sailor tradition and returning his remains to the sky. Which, you know, a normal tradition would be returning them to the sea, getting a burial at sea. This is the same thing. He even says that to rest in peace. I love how Vice has no animosity toward Ramirez about this whole situation. He doesn't try to pretend to understand Ramirez's motives, but Vice won, the world's safe, so there's no need to hold a grudge. So he actually wishes him well in the end. It's surprising. And with the Silver Gigas destroyed, the Silver Shrine destroyed, there's really nothing keeping Soltis in one piece, and as a result, it collapses back into deep sky. However, it has still forever changed the world, because the Sky Rifts, save for the Dark Rift, no longer exist, and there's a hole in one of the stone reefs. So the world is much more open now, thanks thanks to Solstice Rising. I assume once it collapses back into deep sky that the vortex underneath it would quell and the sky would return to its normal peaceful self. However, I don't think we see that, but Eika's like, well, what's next? Our mission's over. We went around the world. The moon crystals are not needed. The Gigises have been defeated. We're still young. Who knows what kind of trouble we could get into? Where do we go from here? Fina asks if she could continue to sail with us. And you don't even get a response prompt. It's just there. We wouldn't have it any other way. It's all so touching. You saved the world. Yeah, why don't you come with us? Gilder, you have your own ship, though, so... And it's like, I should probably get back to it, because, you know, my men are probably losing their minds. And he's still going to search for the good life. Drachma decides to be a fisherman. Live the rest of his life in peace out of respect for Jack and for Acnum. And Enrique must return to Valua to rebuild. See who all survived and bring Valua back. And Daigo, hey, what about us? And all of our friends are still here. Aren't we your friends too? I love how they can all talk to each other even though they're all in completely different places. And Dine, son, I'd be honored if you called me Dad from now on. Aw. Hey, when can we get something to eat around here? The big guy has a point. I think this calls for a party. I never thought I'd agree with Baltor, but everyone back to Crescent Isle for the biggest feast in history. So our Armada returns to Crescent Isle. We have everyone who pitched in. We had a lot of friends. It's amazing that we had so many people willing to come to our side. And we sail off into the sunset. How picturesque. I do kind of like it. I really do like this game, even with the small problems it has. It's such just a gorgeous game with a very unique art style. It's wonderful. And back at Crescent Isle, we see that Enrique gets married. And everyone's there, even the king of Yafutoma and Daigo, both there. I like how the king came out to Crescent Isle, like, we've hosted royalty at our pirate hangout. It's amazing. And we get to catch glimpses of the world now. So Nasrad has been rebuilt, and it looks better than ever. It really looks fantastic. They've been spending a fair bit of the game trying to rebuild since Valua attacked. Ixitaka also having a feast. We see our captain friend there as well, and then Yafutoma has opened up, so we now have Western visitors there. And the reconstruction of Valua, which I love how there's sunlight now in Valua. I wonder if that says anything. And Vice and Aka board their new ship with Fina, who now dresses the part. And I love Cupel with his little eye patch and mustache and goatee and bandana. It's adorable. Naturally, we don't get to keep the Delphinius. Enrique needed it, but we were able to get our own ship, and the three of us take off for new adventures. we see the moon. One of them. And that's the end. During the credits, where I would normally talk about my final thoughts, we actually have, we learn about what happens to all the other characters. So I'm going to talk about that. Just know my final thoughts on this game are, it's amazing. I love it. I'm glad you guys watched it with me. So, Dine! He has returned to Captain of the Blue Rogues, but his old crew refuses to call him anything other than Captain. Aww. Baltor, although Vice has defeated him over and over, he has still not given up on his oath to someday defeat him. And each character has a title, so Black Pirate, the Kind Engineer, Sintime has 3 children all left home to fulfill their own destinies. He has since then adopted 4 more children. Gordo. Gordo's Bistro has become world famous for its gourmet cuisine. Gordo has never fired a cannon since. Clara has set off once again in pursuit of the one she loves. Perhaps one day she will find true happiness. Daigo, even though he has succeeded his father and become king of Yafutoma, he still travels the sky in search of adventure. Just like Vice. Zhao and Mao. After Daigo became king, Zhao and Mao were appointed admirals of the Yafutoman Navy. Lawrence. He disappeared after the battle was over. It is rumored that he has been seen in Valua and is looking for his next job. Don. Being chosen as the admiral for the new Esperanza Navy, he established a safe route through the Dark Rift. Brabham. Brabham became the head of Valua's new shipbuilding facilities at Enrique's request. Brabham has never been happier. Hans. He now works side by side with Brabham and Valua. He would later establish a scholarship for needy students. Bell returned to the Primrose, confident with the knowledge that cannonballs come out of the cannons really fast. Kazim! Having fallen in love with sailing, he and his men have decided to become air pirates too. Can't beat them? Join them! Titika. He received a hero's welcome upon his return. He has since taken a beautiful wife and lives his days as a hunter. Domingo had tried opening his own trade business, but it failed. He has since returned to treasure hunting. Sorry, Domingo. Osman. She opened a shop in the newly rebuilt Nasrid and has since regained all of her wealth through trading with Yafutoma. Khalifa. She has given up fortune-telling in search of a more exciting line of work. She grew tired of knowing everything. Ismail traveled to Valua to help with the rebuilding. He insisted that they would never finish without his help. Kerala. She is currently building a harbor on the expanding Crescent Isle where she has taken up permanent residence. Polly. She returned to Sailor's Island to run the tavern alongside her daughter Anne. Arola. She is currently living in Valua, supporting her beloved husband Hans, whom she met during her travels. So she married Hans, another one of our crew. How adorable. Ryukan returned to his island to fire up his forge once more. His quest for the ultimate blade perhaps will never end. Iklamis. He decided to return to Valua, where he opened a pharmacy to provide medicines for all the people of Valua. Marco. He returned home to Valua to help with the reconstruction. Later he would become the first admiral of the new armada. Congratulations, Marco. Robinson. He finally returned home for good. Now he has 10 children with Polly and is happily living with them. Pow. Even after the battle was won, he never returned home to Pirate Isle. Pow continues to sail at his master's side. Merida. She began dancing in Nasser and soon became an international star. She now spends her days traveling the world. Mogi. She's working hard to rebuild an entire nation with her husband Enrique. She's become known as the Caring Empress. Pinta continues his search for rare treasures from all over the world, plans to someday visit the moons. Drachma. Soon after the battle ended, he died a happy fisherman. Even now, the story of Drachma and Rachnam is told in ports everywhere. Enrique is building the New Valuan Empire. Together with his wife Mogi, they rule with compassion. Sailing where his whims take him, he and his crew, the Claudia, continue their search for the good life. A young boy had a dream. A young girl had a passion. A mysterious stranger had a mission. And the world will forever know their story. Vice the Legend. As long as they're dreamers who have the courage to pursue their dreams, the world will have heroes. New adventures to be had. I really think that's the best way to end this. Can't really top that. Can't really top that. So, thank you all for watching. It's been MarauderEX playing Skies of Arcadia, and I will see you again in the next project. Later, everyone.